And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another health Q&A on this wonderful Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us. I see we've got a Warriors call, Rachel and Nick in the chat. Hey, guys. And then if this is your first time tuning into a health Q&A on Wednesdays, so just to give the gist on what we do here. So every week we take, and I say we because we've got Toni Weel with me as we do every week. And Toni Weel is a regenerative detox specialist trained under Dr. Morse. And she's been adding her own experience through assisting many people on their detox journeys on getting us back to our intended diet, what we're supposed to be consuming on a regular basis, which is predominantly the fruit. The fruit is the most abundantly providing and easy to digest food that we've got. And so Toni has taken it upon herself to share the knowledge that she's gained and to help others. So she joins us every week to help answer questions from the community. So anyone who's got a question, feel free to email it over to us. I've got the emails in the show notes, understandingtruth@gmail.com or Toni at healthywithfruit@gmail.com, and we'll take those questions from you and get into it. So welcome, Toni. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me again today. And yeah, did you have any words before we get started?
Well, you did most of the work already. I'm always happy to be here and share with what I learned on my own health journey, which has been a long one, a very long one. And I can't say I'm there yet. I wish I was. That would be nice. I could go hiking again in Florida. But no, I'm not there yet. I'm well on my way. I learn a lot, and I learn a lot from the people that I talk with, actually, too. And I'm always grateful for these amazing calls with, well, wonderful people. And it's an interesting journey, and we can always easily say, oh, you can heal. There's no problem. You can heal. Just eat all fruits. But how the heck do you do that? Just eat all fruit. I think the first time when I heard about this was a young couple, and they were traveling the world, and they would stop at or stay for a while in a country where there was some beautiful fruit in season. And when it was out of season, they just moved to the next area. And I thought, well, wow, that's crazy. Can you even live just off fruit? So I learned so much in about just the eating the fruit and how you can feel with it, and how I see people change. It's just that we have to be aware it's not an instant. It's something like, oh, we're going to do a detox 30 days. The 30 days fruit juice is amazing. And now we're good to go, and we can go back to what we did before. It's not happening. Your body won't like it anymore. And you will start feeling pretty bad if you go to your old eating habits. So when you start on the alkaline lifestyle, and fruit is a part of that, and more too, and I'm sure Justin can tell us even more about that. But it's like you never go back to your standard diets, with the fruit, the meat, and the beans, and the eggs, and the cheese, the so addictive cheese. You never go back to that. So don't even think about it if you want to stay healthy. I actually had somebody in the group that say, I'm going to live my life eating whatever I want to eat, including meat, because meat is supposed to be for us. And I was like, you're in the wrong group. We don't want you here. This is not happening. It was actually in the Freak Sense group on Facebook. So it's weird for me to see these things. People are seeking health, but that they have to give up or say, oh, no, I can't do that. It's impossible. And then I'm thinking, like, you can go through months and months of chemo, for instance, because that is what's eventually is going to happen if your body is so acidic, and you don't do anything about it. You are getting more and more acidic, and it's systemic. It's all over your body, and you're going to be miserable. And then what? Then you start your detox. Do it while you can. Do it while you still feel good. Do it slow. Transition into it. And okay, that was not meant as an intro, but it's quite long.
Yeah, I mean, all good points, and it's important to remember that, we can wait for the diseases to catch up to us, all of the accumulation of these toxins to cause some sort of hard, painful stop where we really have to examine and see, or not, and just continue to deteriorate. Or we can take a proactive step now and say, you know what, this way of being is not conducive, and I want to right the ship. But just like you said, once you start down the straight and narrow path, it's difficult to turn around. There's not really any going back, and I can attest to that. Just little bits here and there of trying to, reintroduce salt back into my diet, or have cooked food. It doesn't feel good anymore, and it just shows that those foods were never meant for us to consume. We were just so numbed out and conditioned that and our bodies are so miraculous that they're able to sustain off these poisons, this stuff that we're not meant to consume. But once you start down the path of righting the ship, then God's always continually pushing you in the right direction to say, keep going, keep going, keep going. And just to encourage anyone who is stepping out onto this journey and experiencing, this sort of, and we can talk about this today, but just the difficulty of once we do step on this path, it does require some persistence. It requires some consistency, and requires diligence to stay with it, because there are many uncomfortable aspects that have to be overcome in order to get to that state of health, to where we are able to assimilate these raw foods and the fruit, and have it sustain us in the most abundant way possible. A lot of people get discouraged when they encounter the first detox symptom, and they blame the fruit and say, oh, that this can't be what we're supposed to be eating. I'm just going to go back and eat whatever. And but it really does require this sort of higher spiritual outlook, and knowing that this is the food that God designed for us. And so any sort of hurdle we have to get past in order to acclimate to our God-given designed food is perfect for us to go through, even if it's challenging, and that challenging is always followed by that reward. So yeah, but it is a journey, and so that's why we do these shows, to kind of help answer any questions of people who are going on similar paths. Because if you've got a question, chances are someone else has a similar question. So we welcome any and all health-related questions. So yeah, I'm excited for another show to get into.
Yeah, the more we understand how the body works, the easier it gets, because then you're not afraid of the aches and pains that may show up. And if you take it slow and not just jump in, then leave out the food that you shouldn't eat in the first place, and slowly start leaving it out, and incorporate more fruit and more fruit, so your body adjusts to it, because it is often the problem that you don't give it time to adjust. And detoxing you can feel, and that varies for people, you can feel very, very energetic, or you feel very tired. And I think the people who feel very tired, they are more acidic, and their body needs the rest to heal. So don't even try to, oh, but I have to do this and I have to do that. Then you cannot detox. Then you should, slow it even down a little bit more, because then it's not going to work and you just feel miserable. And we don't want that to happen. It has to be a fun journey. That's why I'm going to have a website that I call Fun with Detox. gosh, it has to be fun. You have to be able to get to a point that you're not afraid of what is happening in your body, the weird smell of your pee or the way your bowel movements look. Make it fun, as ridiculous as it sounds. It will be one way one day and different the next day. It may vary in colors, and it is nothing to worry about. It doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, now what's happening? I need to go to a doctor, because they wouldn't have a clue. They would not understand what's going on. So you be your own doctor, and you learn about how your body feels. So I always suggest, like, when you start on this journey, write down, keep a journal. Write down what you ate and how you feel, so that when something is off, then you know what it is. Because it does happen that you just mentioned to me, Justin, that you are eating grapes and watermelons. Well, some people don't feel good on watermelon at all. It can be their bowels, they feel off, or the stomach already. And so it works different for everybody. But if you know what the cause is, you don't have to run to the ER because you think there's something extremely wrong with what's going on. So it's that's just how to do it. Learn your body and embrace what is going on. Embrace the pains, and hey, something is working there. Something is going, as long as you put in the right fuel. I mean, if you are, which I did actually, after 7 months on all raw with very high fruit, I ate a vegan pizza. And it was not raw, it was cooked. It didn't have tomatoes on it, but yeah, it had the fake cheese on it. It was absolutely delicious, and I paid for it dearly. With 3.5 days while I was taking the iridology classes with Dr. Morse.
Wow.
3.5 days of severe lower back pain. So, but I knew what it was. So actually I had to laugh about it. And when people saw me cringing and they looked at me, and I could only say, yeah, the pizza was delicious. That is how you learn. That is when you know there is nothing really wrong. It's just your body responding to something you should not have eaten. And don't ask me about the chemistry of exactly how that works and why your kidneys are in pain within a few hours. Actually, it didn't even take that long. So, but that can happen. And I have heard interesting stories. And as soon as people realize that it is actually the food that they ate, it's the same as people that have ongoing migraines, and there may be something in one of the processed foods, like the, what was that spill? That was always added as a tasting, mostly in the Chinese kitchen. MSG.
MSG, yeah.
MSG was in pretty much, well, I could say all the foods, all the processed foods, as a for taste. And you get addicted to it, and you like it. You like the taste. And then people are getting headaches, and they have no clue where it's coming from. Well, it's always coming from that. So I think that is more well known. But hey, we don't need to worry about it anymore, because we don't eat processed foods now, do we? Well, you didn't know that, Justin?
Yeah.
You did. You did. It's been so many years since I had Chinese foods. I wouldn't dare, actually. And that pizza, no, I wouldn't dare that either. Okay, let's go into the questions.
All right.
Unless you have something to add what I just said.
Well, not in particular. Well, just one thing, I guess. If anyone's looking for some extra motivation, it is September 1st, and I always like to do a little cleansing prior to every equinox and solstice. So if anyone wants to join me on this little fruit detox, I like Toni said, I'm sticking with grapes and watermelon as a backup, trying to do all grapes. But if I can't find good grapes, then I have watermelon. And I'm going to be doing that until September 24th. So until after the equinox. So if anyone is looking for some extra motivation and wants to do that with me, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, that's all I'd say.
Yeah, perfect. The first question comes from Kaylin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And that was, it's asked if I could touch on the raw versus cooked topic. I've listened to enough John Rose to understand it. However, there are areas I'm unclear on, such as raw carrots or steamed carrots. I've heard mixed things, and Toni, your reformatted mucusless food PDF shows raw carrots as slightly mucus forming and steamed carrots as relatively starchless and mucusless. Can you expand on this and provide additional examples of food that may interact better with our bodies once heat treated? Yeah, that's a tough question for me because I don't believe in cooked food at all. I believe in that our bodies need the all raw and that we just need the mostly fruit. And carrots for a transition diet or for a maintenance alkaline lifestyle, yeah, just stick to the mucusless foods. But why it is are the raw carrots mucus forming and the steamed carrots actually not, or relatively mucusless? No, I don't know why that is the case. So that is a question I cannot answer. Maybe you have some more information about that.
Well, I again, I don't know this for certain, but if I would just throw my thoughts in there around it, it's raw carrots are very dense. They're very hard to digest. And alkalinity, acidity is all about ease of digestion. So maybe when we steam the carrots and break them down and make them a little bit easier to process, maybe it's a little bit less acid forming than the raw carrots. But I still am with you that raw is going to be better. So it's hard to say, I think that's one of those things where you're just going to have to experiment with yourself and see how you feel on either and go from there. Where do you respond to best?
Very true. And when you look at that mucusless foods PDF, this was actually made probably 100 years ago. It's a long, long time ago. And they were not steaming veggies then. So often they say baked or cooked, while it actually should be steamed, but that wasn't done. And I don't know, I don't even know how they actually test it. I do know that on any, doesn't matter what cooked food, even a healthy soup of our perfect greens, as soon as I cook it, I feel bloated, I feel heavy, and I feel tired. But the soup was delicious. And then, for 15 minutes, when I'm done eating, then I have to deal for 2 hours with feeling uncomfortable. So to me, that is a big sign to not eat cooked food.
Mm.
As delicious as it is. But no. By the way, did you know that you can change your taste buds in 7 days?
Wow. I mean, I believe that, just that, just going on a fruit cleanse, like it does change your cravings, it changes everything. So that makes total sense.
I just see that Kaylin sent his email at 111. I love the one numbers.
But if
Yeah.
anyone's looking for that mucus list, I don't know if you mentioned that, but I did just put the link in the show notes. So you can grab that PDF in there. It's under helpful resources underneath Toni's information.
Yeah, what I did was everything that you can eat on a detox is in green fonts. And then from, I think it was 1 to 6 are the foods that you eat on not being on a detox, but being on a mucusless alkaline lifestyle. And there is one like the nuts and the seeds. You literally really have to limit that if you want to stay healthy. But once in a while, it's not a bad thing.
Nice.
Okay, Kaylin has also mentioned, I've just completed a 33-day juice fast. We are in the numbers today. and intent on transition to 100% raw fruitarian next year after my 90 to 120-day juice feast. I'm also coming up with a 12-month regeneration course to help friends, family, and anyone else interested in true health and healing. Amazing. Great. The more people we can help, the better it is. Dr. Morse, John Rose, etc., etc., you guys are helping me to help others, and it really is a beautiful thing. I would love to talk to you, Kaylin. Maybe you probably have seen this. This was for you, Justin. A question for another show, perhaps Freaky Friday. I'd like to discuss here you and Charlie's thoughts on take on manna from the Bible and plenty of other cultures around the world. That is something that is beyond my scope.
Yeah, well, as we've talked about in the Bible Decode, any reference to bread or manna is not a physical consuming things. Jesus didn't eat bread. He didn't eat fish. Those are representative. Manna specifically is wisdom from God. It's going through this alchemical process of becoming our Christ itself, following the path. Jesus is the truth, the light and the way, and he is the way what we're supposed to embody in order to receive the gifts of God, which would be this manna, this eternal wisdom that we can receive at any moment. But the only way we're able to receive is if we are alkaline. We're alkaline of both the body and the mind. So you go through the baptism of water, which is the purifying of the body, which is what we were discussing in these shows. What we can shift to consume differently to become alkaline, and then purity of the mind, which is taking no thought. So that's what sets you up to receive that manna. So again, the references are not physical. We're not supposed to be consuming breads, certainly not yeast. It's all allegorical. It's all about, that wisdom from God. So that's that.
It would be interesting to figure out who related it to manna is bread.
Yeah, well, anytime they can distort it and make it be literally interpreted, it just takes us away from the allegorical truth of what this book was given to us. So
yeah,
they did a good job.
It's very interesting. The next question is from Elaine. Thank you and Justin so much for doing these Q&As. Would you mind taking a little bit about the best way to transition from a traditional toxic cooked food diet to a vegetarian and ultimately frugivore diet, especially for those of us who live in it is very cold 6-7 months of the year. I crave hot food during the winter months. Until I'm able to move to a tropical climate, what do you suggest, recommend? And this is actually funny. My first thought when I was reading this earlier, I was like, that you are already saying, Elaine, that you are going to crave hot food during the winter months. Your body is listening. Mm-hmm. So don't say that. You can do all fruits, and sure, you can still eat raw and you can still heat it up. I tried something out yesterday, and I usually make like a cold soup with, it can be some greens and zucchini, it can be a little tomato. And yesterday I thought, if I want it warm, then what happens if I add warm water? So, and it turned out great. It was tasty, it was warm, and it didn't give me that tired feeling. So I know it was still raw. So that is one thing that that you can do. It's a few weeks ago, Justin had a good tip, and that was put your, whatever you are want to create, like a soup, put it in a pan on low heat, stir it with your finger until it's getting warm, and there you have your warm soup.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, if it's too, basically if it gets too hot for your finger, then immediately you take it off the heat, that you want to make. That's why you use your finger to stir it, because if it stays cool enough to where you can stir it with your finger, then um, it's not going to disrupt the natural minerals or the phytonutrients and things of that nature within the food, and it stays in that raw state. But you can heat it up, to like a normal soup temperature, because if it burns your finger, it's going to burn your mouth. So you're not going to want to eat something that's that hot anyway. So just get it to that all the way up to that point, and then it's still going to be very warming to you.
Yeah, and there are other things. I think you can also do that with, and if you like a warm applesauce or something, there are more things warm, or drink a hot cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
That works for the Dutch. So it worked for me. It works for the English people. That's what they do in the afternoons, having tea. The tea always works, and there are some amazing, great, healthy herbal teas. Elaine also said, I was so sad to learn that fermented foods are not good for us, as I love miso broth during the winter. Well, you know what, Elaine? This winter, you are not going to like it at all, because you are going to eat a whole lot of fruit now. You don't want that miso broth when it's cold. It is, but here's a little trick. That is, if you're not detoxing, there is, what is it now called? It's that coconut aminos. It comes from the coconut bark. Yes, it is processed. It is as it was with the miso. I mean, if you want this once in a while, my gosh, don't deprive yourself. But I think once you have been on all fruit and your body is healing and your adrenals are working great, you don't crave the salty stuff anymore. And I think that is where you want to go to. And that will happen. And then still, if you want something that is savory, don't beat yourself up, go for the healthiest thing that you can find on the mucusless food list and enjoy it. I would be the last one to say, oh no, that's not allowed on our diets. That would be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have our different cravings, and we just have to do this once in a while. So, and then there's always the next day.
Yep. And just to add on to that, like people ask me all the time, am I allowed to eat this? Am I allowed to eat that? It's like you're allowed to do anything that you want. We have free will, absolute free will. And it's just a decision on like where do you want to go? Do you want to be detox? Do you want to be in the maximum detox ability, which is like, going towards that, eating monofruits, monofruit meals and staying that way. So that's going to be your most detoxing. But then there's the incrementally stepping back from that of introducing more foods and going to the veggies and the nuts and the seeds. And then, you can introduce cooked foods and whatever else. And it's all stepping back away from the detox. So it's just about where do you want to be? So we're allowed to do anything. You're allowed to eat anything. But it's just a decision on where you want to go.
Yeah, and how it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's Elaine had another question. If we are willing to talk about citric acid. Now, the first thing that came to mind is like, okay, citric acid, that's synthetic, it's lab created, it's isolated chemistry. Why would we want to eat this? It's not something we eat. So of course I had to look it up. I needed to have more details. And I see here, and it says citric acid is a sharp tasting crystalline acid present in the juice of lemons and other sour fruits. It is made commercially by the fermentation of sugar and used as a flavoring and setting agent. Okay, so to me, the first thing that comes to mind is what do you want to do with the citric acid? You want to use it in, I don't know, jams to make from fruit, but that means cooking again, so you don't want to do that. It is in lemons, so that's how you would get it in. So now there was another site that I looked at, and it was talking about how good or bad it could be for us. Now I have to see if I can find that real quick. It says citric acid can be obtained both naturally in plants and artificially in human tissues and body fluids. It is present in large quantity in juicy fruits such as lime, oranges, grapefruits, kiwis, strawberries, apples, pears, cherries, and raspberries, and vegetables such as mushrooms, potato, tomatoes, peas, and asparagus. Citric acid is often used for, and they have this actually in the red text, proper mineral supplementation of food as an acidity regulator and as a flavoring ingredient. Though not an antioxidant itself, citric acid enhances the activity of many beneficial antioxidants. Well, this is all BS to me. It also says that it can help with prevents the formation of kidney stones. Well, here you go. Eat lemons. Fighting free radicals as an antioxidant, citric acid can neutralize the damaging effect of free radicals, which are unstoppable compounds that trigger the growth of cancerous tumors. Well, we know that cancer is acidosis in the body. Can I say now that, oh, lemons will heal you? No, it is just, you know, what we talked about before. You start, if you have cancer, you better start on your all fruit ASAP. I would do that. Now, what she mentioned is that the one that she's concerned about is that a citric acid is made from black mold.
Yes.
Do you know if there's any truth to this? Yes, I've
Yes.
heard that too. And it's like that is why we don't want any isolated chemistry. We just do not want it. It's foreign to the body. Your body will respond negatively to it and you're not healing. So do yourself a favor, stay away from all that stuff. If it doesn't grow on a tree or on a plant, then don't eat it. It's not food.
Simple. If it's, and I said this in the chat earlier, if it's not appealing to us to consume raw, grown straight out of the ground, it's not meant for us to eat. If you just use that one simple rule, you can answer so many questions about whether we should or shouldn't eat something. So if it has to be processed or cooked or had anything done to it in order to make it palatable to us to consume, then it is not conducive to our physiology, is not conducive to our body, and it will introduce issues at some point or another. So yeah, just follow that rule and you'll be good to go.
The next question came from Connie. I used to use Armor Thyroid. I stopped when I made the change to not eating meats. Is there some herbs or something else I can take to help the thyroid? Connie, I wish I could easily answer that to you. It's like, yes, we have something, but we do not treat any disease as you have, called that you have a thyroid issue. Not any herb would help you. The start is not the herbs. The start is always your diet. When you change your diet, then, or, leave things out, eliminate things from your diet. Have we figured out another word for diet, Justin, other than saying alkaline lifestyle? Well, we go with alkaline lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, just
diet.
Yeah, right.
I cannot get over it.
I'd love to find another word too.
Okay, so yes, there's absolutely something that can help, Connie. If you are interested, I would love for you to fill out the health questionnaire. I actually should have put that in the show notes. Shall I? Is that something that you can do if I send you a link?
Yeah, I can add it right now.
Okay, I will do that because it's actually Toni Weel. com, and then it is health slash health dash questionnaire.pdf. If I typed it correctly, I think I did. Okay, there you go. If you fill that out, then, you know, I need to know things like what is your body temperature, your base temperature in the morning, so I can see what's going on with your thyroid. Are you underweight or overweight? Are you wanting to lose weight? Why did they put you on Armour Thyroid? It's like with many medications, the doctors put you on anything and everything. And it's to me, it's a little it's a little frustrating that there are so many medication, well, thousands and thousands, and often you don't need it. You mentioned, Connie, that you don't eat meat anymore, but how is it with other foods like the dairy, eggs, and yeah, dairy, that's also cheese and yogurts, and what else you eat? So on the questionnaire, I do ask a lot of questions, and sometimes it's also a self-assessment form. So on the side, it actually shows you which parts of your, well, which glands are actually involved, and you know, if it's kidney, your symptoms, if it's kidney related, if it's thyroid or parathyroid or liver or your GI tract. So that way you get a better insight about what's going on in your body. And then, of course, there are the eyes. We can even see more in the eyes. I hope that someday somebody, I know that Dr. Morse was talking about that he wants to find out a camera that is cheap for people to get and that everybody can easily use. And then we should start teaching people how they can see what's going on in their eyes. So you can keep, you know, an easy track of things. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's not that hard to learn. Only when you have real brown eyes, then it's not easy. Blue eyes is the easiest.
Just because you could see everything easier?
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw some eyes that were, you would say like, oh, this person had such amazing eyes, and it had brown and it had specks in it and it had orange in it and blue and green, and I was like, oh my gosh, that person has problems. Well, you know, it is on the internet, like most beautiful eyes. Yeah, also the most unhealthy person. Somebody posted a photo, and that had to do with as a Jesus image. And I looked at that model and I saw that he had extreme stagnated lymph in his head. So I was like, this person is not so healthy. But yeah, you can see that yourself, you know, and there are, I have, for whoever is interested, I have the studies in PDF formats with pictures in it, and I'm happy to share. I mean, if I want to do an eye reading, yeah, you know, people charge between $75 and $500 for that. But it would be nice if we can all do it ourselves. It's but until then, you know, I'm happy to help. Well, these were actually my questions. So now I want to get back to Connie. Connie, please do fill that out, and the health questionnaire. And I would love to go over that with you, and I can get you the information that you need. But the simple answer is yes, there is, you know, there is help for your thyroid. But I can't go into, you know, what herbs that would be.
Right. Yeah, and like we've mentioned before, the herbs can be helpful to kind of accelerate certain processes and recalibrate things a little bit faster, maybe. But ultimately, it's the simple solution of just shifting back towards the fruit, and the fruit will heal everything. We just have to give it time and allow our body to heal itself, which just to remind everyone, if as we're all coming from the standard diet, which was killing us, it's going to take time, like years, to fully heal from this kind of stuff. And Charlie's talked about how our body can regenerate every cell within 7 years. So it might take that 7-year time period to fully regenerate, and that means a consistency of staying on this path for that length of time. There's no quick fix for this kind of stuff. There's no surgery or pill you can take to just right everything. We've done a lifetime of damage that takes some time to readjust, but stick with it, and it's all possible.
The thing is, with that 7-year generation, people say, well, if it's doing that every 7 years and I get new cells all the time, then I should be good to go. But they keep forgetting, they keep putting the same junk in it as I have been doing all along. So yeah, you need to change your food habits.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Last week, I don't know, before I go into that, do you have any questions in the chat?
Yeah, there have been some. I've been answering them, but we can go over them just to get your input as well. So Texas Dad said, what about breads? And I said, yeast is extremely toxic to our body. It's carcinogenic and acid forming. Yeast-free bread is slightly better, but even wheat, any and all wheat is very hard to digest. It's not made for us.
Yeah, you go in again into what you mentioned before. If you can't eat it right away and you have to soak it, cook it, put salt into it to make it, that it actually has any taste to it, then no, it's not food for us. And I get often the comment, oh, we've been eating that thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, that's where the problem started.
Well, and have we really? Because they've lied to us about everything,
True.
literally
That's
everything.
true.
So we have no idea how long, they said we came from caveman where we were, doing that kind of stuff too, which that's a big lie. So who knows what we've been really eating and for how long. But certainly for the past 100 years, we have destroyed ourselves with these kind of foods. And the trends are very clear to see as far as where the path we are headed to, which is just further towards disease, further towards death.
Yeah, and the younger generation is getting sicker and sicker, and they bear children, and they are born as sick as their mom and dad is, and that is so terrible.
Yeah.
It's it absolutely has to change. I mean, we have to work on it. It doesn't matter at what age we are. We do what we have to do, and this is an absolutely have to. We have to change this. We have to teach our children different. And I do hear from families that, like, my child doesn't want to eat it, and I'm like, okay, who's the boss? Now, that may not be nice to say, because I do know how difficult children can be. I had one. She doesn't want to hear me say this, but she was not the easiest one. And but she didn't grow up with sweets. We never had any sweets in the house. It was and if she was offered sweets in the store, she always said no thank you. As an adult, said no, because I had to say no thank you, otherwise you would have slapped me. Well, I never did, and I never threatened to do that either. But it was like she just didn't, she didn't grow up with that. So we do have at least some control about our children, and if they are older, and you make something out of fruit, be creative. I have these amazing pictures of pies, or these stacked things with watermelons and grapes and oranges and all kinds of fruit added to it, and it looks absolutely beautiful because it is so colorful. Actually, the only thing in the food world that is so colorful is fruit. Nothing else comes close to it, or they have to add food safe coloring to make it, to trick you. Like, how crazy is this, and why are we falling for it?
Right.
Going back to that bread, again, bread is very addictive. It is the last thing that people are willing to, well, barely willing to give up. And I understand the struggles because I found um, millet bread, zucchini millet bread. And I heard Dr. Morse say, well, if you have to eat a seed or a grain, then millet is not the worst one. But if you do it only a little and only once a week. So I thought, hey, I'm good. I can eat that millet zucchini bread. No, I can't. I cannot. The body doesn't want it. And it responds with pain. So your body always shows you what you can and cannot handle. So, okay, more questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So another one from Gail Patrick said, do we need to take vitamins? And I said, no, some herbs can be helpful, but manufactured vitamins are not really assimilated in our body and just cause more problems.
Yeah, it is because so many vitamins, it's all synthetic, and we go back to it is isolated chemistry. It's made in a lab. Why do you want to eat it? Why don't you just eat with fruit? What happens with the fruit is that often people think it's like, oh, but if I want to get all the minerals and all the vitamins out of it, then I need to eat and all the calories, of course. Then I need this and this, and there's no way I can eat that much. And it's like, okay, because you already said there have been so many lies. And it's only in the last, 40, 50 years that we have been told it's like, you need this mineral and that vitamin, and you're low on this, and you need that. And it's like, no, because even if you would eat only oranges, you would still be good, because the body takes whatever it needs and converts it. So, everything works. You can live on oranges only. People have done it. You can live on bananas for a long, long time and be just fine. Do you want to do that? No, probably not, because we like the variety. There's a reason that there is such a variety in all these fruits. But adding vitamins to your body, it's a foreign thing that you put in there. Your body cannot use it. And like with melatonin, people take melatonin to sleep. The body makes melatonin. But as soon as you keep putting it in there with caps every night, the body stops making it. So that means that for the rest of your life, you have to take melatonin, because your own body, who was perfectly designed, is not making it anymore now. And that goes for all the vitamins. I mean, it is in all fruits, and don't even start about, the calories. I did it. And I was starving. I wanted to lose weight. I was starving on a 500 calorie diet. And that was the only way for me to lose weight. I only ate once a day. And I could do it, but I got sick because I was eating the wrong foods. If I had eaten all grapes or all watermelon or all fruits, that would not have been a problem. But there was definitely a problem then, because I ate cheese, I ate bread. So yeah, of course I wasn't healing. I was just getting worse, but I was losing weight, so I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
doesn't work that way.
and if you're eating the right food, as in the fruit, then you wouldn't even have to really worry about calorie restriction whatsoever, because if we're consuming the right food, the fruit, our body will only take in exactly what it needs. And so you can't overdo it, really.
Yeah, and then we get to the part of, yeah, but I'm always hungry. Yes, if you eat like say you eat a grapefruit and you eat one orange and one lemon in the morning, and then an hour later you're hungry, but you've been told there is breakfast, there is lunch, and there is dinner. So now you have to wait until lunch to eat. My gosh, where did they get this nonsense from that we have been taught? We have been brainwashed to believe. You can eat as much as you feel your body feels comfortable. Never eat until you're really full, that you can feel it. Just stop before that. And if that means that you have to eat 6 oranges, which I actually do, 6 oranges, 1 or 2 grapefruits and a lemon, and I juice it, and I'm good for hours. I'm hungry. Okay, I have a bowl of grapes to eat. Hungry again? Well, there is a banana somewhere, and there's always some fruit around. You do not have to be hungry. And cravings, if you do it like this and you set your mind that, I do believe that you can have cravings, and it's often said it has to do because you were once a meat eater, hopefully not anymore. You could have parasites, so clean out your GI tract, and we have the right products to do that. You can do it, and always make sure that you're well hydrated. Sometimes all you need is a glass of water, and you don't have the cravings anymore. It is really simple. So don't be hard on yourself, and don't tell you, oh, but I am going to have cravings. Yeah, then your body is listening and you will. So change your mindset, please.
Yeah, just remember that those cravings come from, the candida, the parasites, the things that we've invited into our system because we were consuming death. And so these organisms helped us to digest this death that we could not digest otherwise. And so it takes some time to let those little buggers know that, hey, I don't need you anymore because I'm going with the living food. But until then, they do kind of throw a fit, and they try and get you to go back to the old ways, the old and that's that temptation. It's literally the personification of our ego that's always tempting us. Satan's always tempting us to come back to those physical pleasures, the physical desires, which is just moving us away from God. So you have to take a stand, and you have to, you don't have to, but it's helpful to take a higher sort of spiritual approach to it, and look at some larger reason other than just for health. Health is a beautiful thing to pursue, and it's important. But if you can take it a step further and say, well, why do I want to be healthy? And mix in this, well, because then I get to get connected with God. How amazing is that? You get to have a best friend who is always supporting you and leading you to the most abundant spaces possible. And all we have to do is just clean ourselves up and open ourselves up to that. So yeah, if you can sort of wrap that into your goals, it really does help take it down, take it that extra mile, and to deal with those physical temptations when they do come up, because they will always be there for sure.
Yeah, we all deal with the temptations, but the temptations are not necessarily cravings.
Right.
Craving, and sometimes I wonder if I don't feel that I really have bad cravings, but some people talk about it as if it is the worst thing in their life. And I haven't felt that, so I cannot really, I don't feel it the way they feel it. And sometimes I wonder if it is also a mental thing, the fear of being hungry and not being able to eat, and not realizing you can eat all the fruit that you want to eat. Get away from your breakfast, lunch, dinner idea, and eat when you're hungry. That is just your body tells you when you need to eat something, and then you eat fruit.
Yeah, so I had another question that was asking about, from Salvaging Truth, Toni, what is the deal with oil in the stir fry in Dr. Morse's book, Detox Miracle Source Book?
What was the first one?
What is the deal with oil in the stir fry in Dr. Morse's book, Detox Miracle Source Book?
I don't know what the deal is. I only know that we don't use oils, because oils is not a natural. Yeah, you could say, oh, it is a natural product. Well, it's highly, highly, highly processed. And no, it's not healthy, so we don't use any oils.
No.
Now, I do know there is in Dr. Morse's book is a whole section. Now, this book is, what is it, 20 years, 15 years old now? And it has recipes in there, and it does have some oil in there, but you have to look at it as a transition diet, the transition way of eating. and not really the detox. And then after that, you get away from the oils once you understand that oils are not supposed for us. I do hear a lot of people that say like, yeah, but in Mediterranean, it's all about oils. Actually, I spoke with a lady from the Mediterranean and said, I didn't really grow up with it. It wasn't like that. It wasn't the way it is now, that it is olive oil anywhere, and it has been touted as the absolutely greatest thing for your health. And for me, if it's like heavily promoted, there's always a red flag. And just think about, we do not need processed foods. Would you really? Quite a while ago, I ate something and that had olives in it, olives in oil. And I've eaten olives my whole life. And now I had a few olives and I had this yucky feeling in my mouth, like grease all over. So my body was actually rejecting it as something foreign, something that, didn't like anymore. And normally, way back, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. I would not have tasted it as being that oil so bad. But now my body was rejecting it right away.
Yeah, there's a follow-up question about putting coconut oil on the skin and oil pulling, whether those are good or not. And my take is just in general, oils are not good for our body. And so if you're putting it on your skin, you're clogging pores. That, coconut oil is helpful for like if you know you can't get any shade and you're going to be spending extended time in the sun, it is a sunscreen that can help you in a pinch, but I wouldn't use it on a regular basis. I feel it's just going to mess with your skin, which is a huge organ for cleansing, and it's going to disrupt that process. And then same with oil pulling. I mean, people swear by it. I haven't really done it myself to any length for any length of time to notice any difference, but I do know that if my diet is alkaline, then I don't really have to worry about my teeth or my mouth health because that's going to take care of itself. So I'm still going to go with, avoid concentrated processed oils on the body or in the body. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is. When you said if you have to be in the sun and you can't be in the shade and then use some oil, I was right away thinking, well, people cook with it. And if you put oil on your skin and then you put heat on it, aren't you cooking whatever is underneath? So
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, but it does work as a sunscreen. I have used it to success as that. It's like an SPF 4 or 5, so it's not very strong, but the best thing to do with the sun is just take breaks, don't be in the sun too long. Just get a hat, take a shade break. So yeah, it's not even really that good of an excuse to do it for that.
now I'm a redhead with a light skin and freckles all over. And I guided motorcycle tours. And I did that in the midst of summer in the United States, Route 66, California, the Death Valley, even in the heat. And I have never, ever used sunscreen in my life. What I did then was always wearing a white cotton shirt, long sleeve, bundled up. So, and I never had a sunburn. The times, yeah, of course, if you are out in the sun on a motorcycle and you feel the cool breeze, you don't feel the heat. I had 2 times a sunburn. Now I have done these tours for many, many years, and I was on a bike like for weeks at a time. But other than those 2 times, I've never had a sunburn. And now with being on all raw and mostly fruit, I don't have sunburns, but I do. The sun is very hot, that what I felt the last few years. And you get to a point that's like, okay, I have to get out of the sun. You can't get out of the sun, then make sure that you cover your skin. Don't use it's like they have this in sunblock 10 to 70, 80, I don't know, and people slather it on their skin and are surprised that, my gosh, they still get skin cancer. Why would that be? It's like, yeah, cover your
We,
skin. That's the best thing that you can do.
yeah,
Um,
we didn't really have skin cancer before sunscreen. When,
no, no, it is everything that is pushed upon us. Stay away from it. Actually, last week we were going into dental management, and we were going to talk about that. Well, I put it's in the show notes. You put it probably already up there. It's 9 pages. It has everything in there. And yes, oil pulling is in there too. Did I have any benefit from it when I did it? No, not really. Some people say they do. It's like with everything, it's always up to you. You can try it out, see if it works. I think that rinsing with some baking soda or salt water would be just as well, because with oil pulling, you go into all the bacteria in your mouth. Now ask yourself, why are there so many bacteria? What is their function? Is it up to us to say, okay, we cannot have bacteria in our mouths? No, we have to make sure that our mouth is alkaline. Take a pH strip, and if your mouth is not alkaline, well, then work on your diet and rinse with baking soda a little bit more, maybe. So that is what I would do. And yes, we can have dental problems. Once we get on all fruit, the weaknesses definitely come out in our bodies. I had dental issues since I was a teenager, and I cannot say that I made that a lot better. Now I am not known to go to a dentist regularly, because they were always messing things up, and I actually lost teeth because of that. And my jaw was kind of locked because of the horrendous things they did. And I was like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm not going to do that anymore. So now it's just, you if you have your teeth are bad, you again have to look at the acidity in your body. There is just no other way to clean, to heal, to alkalize as changing your food intake. So that's why I already gave you that whole 9-page dental management document with great thanks to the guy from Grapegate to put it all together. And there is a lot to learn, and grapegate.com did an awesome things to put all this stuff from Dr. Morse together for us practitioners, but also for everybody else to find more information. And a lot of your questions, I mean, I love answering those questions. I mean, we always have something to talk about, but there is actually a search engine for Dr. Morse video clips, and that is on rawfix.com. You can type in a keyword and then you get these short video clips. They're very helpful, and then you hear what Dr. Morse has to say about it, because he can always do it better than I do. So those two things will help you along. I put a lot of the newer videos when I still had somebody who said, okay, I can help you with splitting up the video, the long videos in shorter sections, but time challenged, he couldn't do it anymore. But I do have a lot of the newer videos on toniweel.com/videos, and that goes straight to YouTube, my YouTube channel.
Nice.
So
Yep.
that is what I have for today.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that is the Toni Weel video is linked in the show notes. So you can find that there. And yeah, it's a very helpful resource. Dr. Morse's videos are often quite long. I mean, I enjoy just throwing ones on and listening to it. You always get little nuggets here and there. But if you want shorter clips, those are helpful to kind of go directly at a problem. So yeah, beautiful. Well, we're just over an hour, so we'll go ahead and start wrapping up for today. Thank you all so much for being here. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and to address any issues and kind of just go through this learning process together. You know, the more that we can collaborate and you know, we start to realize that we don't have to go through this alone. We don't have to be the only ones struggling to reacclimate to the diet. We don't have to go through detox symptoms without knowing what they are or knowing that someone else is going through the same thing. It makes it a lot easier. So thank you all so much for being here. Toni, did you have anything you wanted to close out today with?
I think I'm done.
Cool. Yeah.
I love doing these shows with you, Justin. You always
Thank
add these little tidbits to it that are absolutely great. And
Thank you.
I thank everybody for being here, listening to us, and all your questions. I still have a kind of a backlog with people that I want to answer personal, but I've been working hard on the websites for Charlie, and yeah, one of the sites was actually my site was hacked yesterday, so I had to deal with that. So, but I will go through these emails and the promises I made to send you things or answer personally. So be patient, please.
Yep.
Love you all and thank you.
Yep. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time.